Moral stay in Mongolia?
The moral? What do you mean?
Not come back to France, to Spain, stay in Mongolia.
Stay in Mongolia. But the problem is we never reach Mongolia.
So what's the moral that it's not
the moral...
Destination is the journey.
No.
The destination but the journey.
That is one. But the real moral of the Mongol rally, I believe, is called resilience.
Oh, yes.
Resilience. That's the moral of the Mongol rally.
If there is a time, I will tell you something about what you say, that it's not the destination, it's the journey. I will tell you a little story about it.
Okay,
Well,
so...
he knew the destination is uncertain and relative.
Well,
So there we are.
there,
Good.
Okay, so all of this started, this is something a lot of people do not really know. Oh no, it's the 15-minute, I speak and then you ask questions and
Yeah,
that's it.
We saw the.
You saw the presentation already. Okay, so the real story is I had cancer surgery in 2008, the beginning of 2008, and I had to be in bed for a whole month and I couldn't move my legs and I was absolutely desperate because I am very active, I need to do things, and my friend Paula was coming to visit and other people were coming to visit and I was just dying to be able to get out of bed and get out back to work and do something. And Paula said, Cristina, we're doing the Mongol rally. And I said, whatever you say, everything is fine. What is a Mongol rally? I don't really know, but you just take a car to Mongolia and this is for charity reasons. And we just get on the car, we get some money and off we go. So, okay, fine. I don't think it's that simple. So you need to study the maps. Are there any maps about Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Mongolia, Russia? No real maps that you can find anywhere, because many of the roads are not shown in Google, they're not shown anywhere. We did talk to teams that had gone in previous editions. There were some good stories, some very terrible stories. A lot of people have been seriously injured, damaged, or even died in the Mongol rally, depending on what route you are. My uncle happens to be an ambassador of Argentina here in Spain, and he's very good friends with the Russian ambassador. And they exchange presents. And I said, well, maybe you can tell the ambassador, the Russian ambassador, that since at least some part of this journey is going to take part in Russia, maybe he can help. Maybe it would be wise if we can get a letter from the ambassador, and if someone stops us, we show this letter and people help. And the Russian ambassador came back and said, that's the worst idea possible, because if you're carrying a letter, then surely something will happen to you. So then my mom started to worry, and she was quite desperate about me going to Mongol rally. But anyway, so we decided that we were doing this thing. Paula had a friend, I had a friend, I had another friend that had a car. We bought Priscilla. Priscilla was in terrible shape, the worst car ever. Priscilla was 19 years old, had been in some landscape in the south of Spain, and just not doing anything. So as soon as we tried the car, it proved it would be difficult to get past Zaragoza or Barcelona with that car from Madrid. Actually, because we were also looking for funds, we needed the funds for the charity part of this because we were ready to fund all our expenses. And we also asked Telefonica. She asked her bank, I asked Telefonica, and they said, okay, well, we'll give you all the communications for free. We don't know if there's any communications available where you're going. So we did do the work of going through the roaming maps that Telefonica had agreements with in all these areas. And we tried to plan a route where at least at some point there would be some phone coverage, which was quite difficult. But we did try. But Telefonica, then everybody knew that this crazy woman was going to do this rally. At the time I was working in strategy and things like this, people started to bet at Telefonica. This woman won't go past Zaragoza. No, they will reach the Pyrenees and then they will be scared and they will come back. No, maybe they can make it to Italy. So it was all this joking about these girls will never be able, ever, to get to Zaragoza. Of course, okay, I look like this now, but in Telefonica, I wear a suit. No, my nails are perfect. I've got my makeup. I do have an artificial life sometimes, all about relationships and events, and some people just remain in the superficial area. You look blonde, you look stupid. How come? How on earth are you going to drive 16 hours per day and get to Mongolia? Finally, we did all this fundraising. We got this 20,000 euro from people and friends, and part from Crédit Agricole, which is where my friend was working at the time, and we set off.
Now,
You can ask questions anytime.
so one of the questions that I had is, well, two questions. One is, how did you go about figuring out how to prepare for the trip? And then how much did you know about cars?
Okay. I believe there's honestly no preparation for this. Because once you start learning what the 4 previous editions of the Mongol Rally are, and you get in touch with the teams, so there's a lot of things that you can plan, or things that you believe are going to happen, and you get ready for them, but any other thing can happen for which you won't be prepared. So it's not worth spending that much time in figuring out and planning, because you won't be ready for all that's going to happen to you.
Who is organized this rally?
This rally is organized by an organization called The Adventurist, which has the offices in London, and they are a charity organization, and they've got, their biggest one is the Mongol Rally, which is 4 weeks long, there's 13,000 kilometers, but they've got another one in India, they've got another one in Bali, Sumatra, Jakarta, they've got another one that goes down to well, we used to be part of the Dakar route before, but the Mongol Rally is the most known. It's called the Dakar of the Poor, precisely because it's got a charity component, but also the extreme adventures, not so much in all the bad things that are going to happen to you, but there's no support car, there's no help from anybody, there's no communications. In the former USSR republics, you're not allowed to carry a GPS, you're not allowed to carry a satellite phone, and if they find you with this thing, then you've got a problem. So the only real planification that you need to do is learn at least the Cyrillic alphabet, because the maps that you're able to get here, they're written with our alphabet, but when you're on the road, past even in Ukraine, everything is Cyrillic and you really don't know where you're going. You know, you need to go east. Well, there's many ways to get there, okay? The other thing is, the only prevention really needed is anything that concerns your health. I've got many allergies, I've got reuma, I've got all these stupid things, I'm like a granny. So I needed to take my medicines with me just in case. Just in case, but nothing really serious health-wise happened to me there. And then the rest that you need to prepare is physically, you do need to prepare. I couldn't do much because I've got bad knees, but I was swimming every day 2 kilometers per day, which is an hour or 2 hours in the pool, okay? I quitted smoking the day we decided I was going on the rally, which was March 21st was when we decided we were going on this rally in July. I quitted smoking that very same day, okay? Not only because of my lungs, but also because we were carrying petrol inside the car, so it wasn't wise, okay, to have cigarettes in there. And the other very important preparation that I think some people don't take into account is the psychological one. You need to be able to, anything that happens, just to deal with it and not get hysterical about it. It is very common that people get angry with their partners during that trip. Paula and I never got angry, but we didn't speak to one another for a year after we came back.
You didn't speak?
To each other for 1 year.
But you didn't get angry?
No.
This is because you liked each other, you didn't speak with them for a year?
No, it's because if we started talking about the many things that her or me had been guilty of during this month, okay, it would have been a disaster. You may say things that you don't want to say. And in the middle of the desert, I wanted to kill her, honestly. Or she wanted to kill me, but it's not wise at 65 Celsius to go outside and stay there. I take my car with me and no, I mean, you need to cope, you're together, you need to get to the end, you need to get out of it, go back to Spain.
And what is your relations with her now?
Fantastic. She's like my sister. That's why we can get.
So how come you didn't recommend that we bring her?
No, what I've always said, because a lot of people say, "Oh, Cristina, you did this adventure. When is the next one? Can I come?" And I said, "No. I've got a boyfriend now since a year and a half." She said, "Cristina, next time you're on one of these trips, I'm coming with you." I said, "No. If I ever do something like this again, I'm going to do this with Paula." Because I don't think, Paula and me have known each other for many years. But I didn't really get to know Paula until we were together 16, 17 hours per day at this distance because the car is very small and facing one problem after another, all completely unexpected. So once you know how someone is going to respond, you're ready to do whatever with that person again. But if I need to try with someone else, the chances next time that I do kill someone in the middle of the desert are very high. So, okay, so my friend Paula was very worried about security. She was very concerned. Paula is very beautiful. She's got very fair skin, big eyes, long hair, and she's very well related. And she was absolutely convinced that we were either going to be kidnapped or raped. Okay? So she had all this preparation, the anti-vapor kit that she took with her, with this sprays. Pepper sprays, and she had this huge knife and all these things. I said, "Paula, but what the hell are you going to do with all of this?" "I've got a plan. If something happens, I've got a plan." I said, "Okay, fine, so let's get on the plan." So we went past Tittle, which was quite simple, quite easy, nothing relevant. Past parts of Poland, obviously Austria, Slovenia and Slovakia. And then we were ready to go all the way up to Ukraine. Ukraine is the first country where we really started to have trouble. We went through the south. If anyone wants to do this in the future, they need to go north of Ukraine, keep north, not south, because the roads really, there's no roads, and there's a lot of corruption. We were stopped many times by the police. The first time was a bit scary, because the technique that they use in all these countries is to separate the people that are in the car. And they were claiming that poor Priscilla was speeding over 120 kilometers per hour. And I knew this was impossible because that car didn't go beyond 90 going downhill. So no way. And the guy was saying, yeah, 120. Fine, so you need to go see the inspector. Okay, where is the inspector? He's in the other side of the road, 1 kilometer. Fine. So Paula stood with that policeman in the car on the right side of the road. I needed to leave, go on the left side, cross the road, talk to the police, and they wanted me to go into the car. I said, okay, I feel fine. So I get in the car with the police, but I left my foot, it's in the picture, out, just in case I could jump out. And the guy, well, obviously he wanted sets of things, and then in the end, he wanted money. And he started asking like for €500. We negotiated down to 50 euro, and then I said, but maybe euro is not good for you, I will give you $50. Okay, great, that's fine. So he got the $50 and he went, and he left us. But 3 kilometers ahead, we were stopped again by the police in Ukraine. So they were calling each other. Go stop these girls, they give you $50. Yes. So next stop, hey girls, you're in an illegal situation. He says, listen, no. So we managed to move out of there with $20. Great. And another 10 kilometers again. No, $10. And the last one we say, hey, listen, your friends have all the money. We don't have any more money left. So bye, leave us alone. So we kept going through Ukraine. We slept in Kiev, went in Lviv, Kiev, Donetsk, where there's the current problems right now. And finally we reached the border with Russia. Border with Russia took us something like 10 hours to go past it.
Because of the people?
No, not because of the people, because obviously a lot of people from the Mongol Valley had decided to go that route. Other peoples went to the north of Russia, but many people were arriving from Ukraine. And we did not have the documentation that we needed to have. Basically, not because we didn't have the documentation, we didn't know how to fill the form, because the form was totally in Cyrillic. So they started to queue all the people that were coming in weird cars in one queue, and all the rest, they were just passing by. But no one would sit down and explain what we needed to do. So finally, I decided to sit down with the police to see what people were writing in the form, to understand, okay, so the plate number needs to go here, the name of the driver goes here, the number of this long number, bastidor, how you say bastidor?
The VIN number.
The vehicle number, this, it's like 20 digits, this goes here. So finally I was able to write with Paula our own form. So, Mr. Policeman, we are ready. Fantastic. Now you teach everybody else. You teach everybody else. Paula and me had one problem. We were doing something which was illegal because we were carrying a satellite phone in the car.
A what?
Satellite phone.
Okay.
She didn't tell me until the very last minute that she had hidden a satellite phone. If we were caught, and the cars were being inspected, if they got us with a phone, we would be in trouble. So I also needed that the police didn't open the car at the border. Okay. So I kept on talking and talking and talking. That guy didn't speak English and I didn't speak Russian. So there was no real communication. But in the end, I managed to understand that he said, if you're able to shut up for 5 minutes, I will let you go. Honestly. So I shut up and they let us go. And we were in Russia. We were in Russia. Russia, amazingly, that country that was worrying us very much, had very good roads, very good roads. The state of the roads was fine. We went from the border with Ukraine, we went to Volgograd and down the Volga River all the way to Astrakhan. And at that time at Astrakhan, it was the party of the village with all these lights and colors and singing. It was fantastic. I thought Astrakhan, I only knew about Astrakhan because of the Astrakhan hats and the coats, but the temperature with this was 40 degrees. Apparently in winter it's very cold. And the next day we needed to cross the border to Kazakhstan, which was quite simple. It was good. We met some Italian people there and they said, I'm sorry, but the north route, you won't be able to take it at all because there's been floods. We recommend that you go south. This time people were getting hysterical because we were in the middle of the war of Georgia war, but we were not aware. I mean, we were like maybe less than 50 kilometers from where all this was happening, but we didn't realize, people were not talking about it, there was nothing happening when we were passing by. So we decided to take the south route in Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is a very big country. It's about 5 or 6 times the size of Spain. It's absolutely huge. It's absolutely poor and miserable when you're on the road. Most part of it is desert in the south. The north is greener, but we didn't have the chance to be there. Astana, which is the capital, is in the north. Almaty, which is the economical former capital, is in the south, very close to Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan, almost in the border, very close to the border with China. And we could not be all the time in Kazakhstan because the roads that we had thought that would exist did not exist. So in the end, we decided to find where the train rails were, and there's obviously always a path close to rail, but we ended up in Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan was having severe trouble because they're very close to Turkmenistan, and there was also war in Turkmenistan at the moment. What is in the middle between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan? The Aral Sea. The Aral Sea in the map is shown in blue. The Aral Sea is not existent. The Aral Sea doesn't have water. It used to have water. It was an internal sea, which was dried because the Russians planted a new variety of cotton, which was not the traditional cotton that has been planted there from the years since Marco Polo and the Silk Route. And this cotton was draining the Aral Sea. So the water was drained. There's only a small pond in the middle now. So that's why you go through the sand and you find ships, huge ships, fishing ships in the middle of the desert. The population is dying because of problems in their skin, in their lungs. They've got problems. It's very toxic. It's a disaster.
The toxins from what?
From the heat.
And they also used to dump, I mean, the story of you were talking a little bit, the story of the Aral Sea is it is probably the biggest man-made natural abuse that has existed.
Yeah.
I mean, massive. Kazakhstan is big. You look at the Aral Sea and it's huge, or it was huge. And they essentially siphoned it for irrigation, And then they dumped all sorts of shit in it. Then you got, because of the heat, the evaporation, the concentration, there was no possibility for fishes or anything to look, and it was just a dumping ground. And the Russians used Kazakhstan as a dumping ground for all sorts of stuff, nuclear testing.
It shrank 300 kilometers from the diameter of original diameter.
Exactly. That's a disaster, total disaster. And the Aral Sea, half of it is on the Kazakhstan country and the other half is Uzbekistan. Going through that desert was one of the main reasons I didn't want to talk to Paula ever again. Paula was really dying. He snores very nicely, don't worry. He was really dying because there's one thing that you need to tell your son, dehydration is the most difficult thing that he will face physically, probably. Okay? Dehydration, I didn't realize I was completely dehydrated until I saw myself on the mirror. I never used it because we had so many things that I couldn't see anything in the back. But I looked at my face and it was like a mummy.
You didn't get a headache? Usually when you are dehydrated, you get a headache.
Headache? No.
Which is the first
No.
indication.
I didn't have any headache. I didn't feel anything at all. Paula was very sleepy all the time, but then I looked at myself and I had like all these wrinkles. It was like,
You
I looked
were
at my
forcing
eyes.
yourself to drink water constantly.
I was drinking constantly because I drink a lot. The problem there was that obviously we had all these pills for the water and we had whatever to make it cleaner. But at the end, I was just buying water, which was they gave to you the bottles with frozen water, and you put them inside the car. Outside we had 65 degrees Celsius. Inside the car, inside Cristina, we had 52. So you would buy this bottle, you didn't care anymore about the tablets, and you drink. But 20 minutes later, that was just like drinking tea. I didn't mind, but I kept on drinking. But Paula didn't like to drink one more time. So I could see that your bones, we lost 8 kilos in 2.5 days.
How long did it take to cross the Aral Sea?
The Aral Sea, 2.5 days.
And where did you sleep? Did you just camp at night?
In the car.
In the car?
We slept in the car. Those 2 days we slept in the car. I mean, there was nowhere else that you could go. And I was, pardon?
Bathrooms outside.
Well, the main reason why we were wearing dresses. So if you're a woman and you're wearing trousers, everything becomes more difficult. So it was dresses and it was outside.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? That's the main reason why we're wearing dresses all the time, just to at least don't make other things more complex.
Actually look nice in the pictures.
They look nice.
That's look nice in the
Yeah.
pictures.
We decided to wear the same dress every day, except that one day that we got angry and we wore different dresses. We woke up and was talking to you, I wore this dress, I should wear another one. That's him. And going through the desert was a nightmare. That was really a nightmare. I thought Paula was dying. The army was stopping us every 100 kilometers more or less because of the war in Georgia and the war in Turkmenistan.
So they stop you, they ask you for papers?
They stop you, they ask you for papers, but I also do understand that if you see this car with a pink top and the Disney princesses on the sides, and you see 2 women in the inside wearing crowns and that, when you want to talk to them, the least thing that you want to do is talk to them and find out what they're doing.
Sure.
So it's da, Paula, Justina, da, Mangulia, and then they either wanted money or they either wanted sex. And you needed to be able to get away from that situation in the nicest possible way. You were not allowed to take pictures. So you don't have pictures from the soldiers. So no, we're not allowed to take pictures of them. I'm sorry, but Paula was asleep most part of this, but because she was completely dehydrated, I had to slap her to make her drink and eat. I was worried because I was thinking if Paula dies in the next army stop, I'm going to have a problem. How do we get out of this desert? I did finally understand what the espejismos, ¿cómo se dicen espejismos?
Mirages.
I didn't see any oases, I didn't see palm trees, no water. I was driving and seeing cities. Cities I would never arrive to. Never arrived to. And finally, we were in Bukhara, and then later in Samarkand. And that was absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. Because that one night was like the first night we were in a proper hotel since the last one in Milan. So that was good. we didn't have the chance because Samarkand is a point that a lot of people from the Mongol Valley wanted to go to. So we did see many cars from the Mongol Valley then. We did have some dinner with colleagues and exchange opinions. And after that, we were on our own again. Because people...
But as a rally, was it a race? Or
No,
or
it's called the Mongol Rally, but in reality it's a ride,
Okay.
which is non-competitive.
Okay.
But everybody was together and everyone wants to be there the first.
All right. Yeah.
Well, I believe the only thing that you need to have in your mind is that you need to get there.
Yeah.
Or at least get somewhere from where you can return safely home. Okay? Because the charity purposes can take place in Kazakhstan or Mongolia, it doesn't really matter. And the cash, I mean the donations, and the cash that you have actually made go directly to the organizations once you've made them.
Right.
So what you need to take is the car because they need cash. But the need for the cash is the same in Kazakhstan or in Mongolia or in Kyrgyzstan.
Right.
And after Samarkand, Priscilla, she started to die. Priscilla, poor baby, she just couldn't cope. So, do you know what the petrol pump is? I had 2 extra with me that I learned how to change. Broke one, changed it, broke the second one, changed it. The third one, no more chances. So we decided to go and look for this piece because it will happen again. And we ended up in this village where there was a market for car pieces. So I said, Paula, you take this piece, this petrol pump, I take this petrol pump, and just go look for it. But we don't speak Kazakh, we don't speak Russian, but all of a sudden you speak everything. Everybody understands you, understand everybody. So we were there. Obviously, we couldn't find exactly the same. We found another one, something similar. And all of a sudden, Priscilla was there, open. There were like 20 Kazakhs with us. They were all giving their opinion, no? And you were there, and you stuck your head, and no, but yes, and no, and this. And Paula's face was turning grey. So, what the hell is wrong, Paula? I mean, these people are helping. It's getting dark. Yeah, it's getting dark, but we need to solve Priscilla. And these people are helping. And they were they were fine with us. They were normal people. They didn't do anything like the soldiers were doing and menacing you or anything like that. She says, no, but these people, Paula, just smile. They're not raping us, just relax. So finally we repaired Priscilla. Everything was fine, but we didn't have anywhere to sleep. So so Kazakh people are very different in how they look. So one of these people that was helping us, he was completely Chinese, but his eyes were turquoise blue. Amazing, very strange to see that. Most of them looked like Persian people with green eyes rounded. There was this huge guy with red hair. He looked more like David Beckham, but he was from Kazakhstan. And none of them spoke English, but we managed to understand that he was offering Paula and me to sleep at his friend's house. 2 girls, his friends, is okay, fine. We go to your girlfriend's house, fantastic. And we got there, and it didn't look quite like a house, but you could see like many doors. But there was a big discussion between this guy and these 2 little girls. And I just didn't understand what was going on. So finally, they didn't understand why we wanted 2 rooms, but 1 room, but we wanted 1 for both us. Okay, so finally we got this room. So we go into this room. Paula says, you brought me to a whorehouse. Or me. They want me to a whorehouse. Listen, this guy says this is
his house.
This is his friend's house. There's no reason to believe that this is a whorehouse. Justina, you're so stupid and so simple. This is a whorehouse. Oh, why? Well, it's got this living room with a huge TV screen, and just casually, all these movies here are porn. Paula, relax. This doesn't mean that this is a whorehouse. But then we opened the other room, and that picture of the table with the leopard cover. So Justina, now you're going to argue that this is not a whorehouse. Well, maybe, but I don't think so. You're impossible. I'm going to the toilet. So she goes into the toilet. This is a whorehouse for sure! So why? Come in. And there was this shower that looked like a spaceship. I've never seen something like that in my life, Never. Like space for 2 or 3 people. Okay? with all these water things that come all over, with lights, color lights, and music, and all sorts of gadgets, sexual gadgets. So I said, okay, Paula, maybe just go and lock the door. They're going to rape us. She was hysterical about being raped, but it never happened. It never happened. The next day, we keep on driving, and we needed to go past an area where there was military control. Okay, and it was getting dark. And when it gets dark, it gets worse.
People change.
It gets worse because even though they're Muslims, they drink after sunset. These people were drinking a lot. That's something we discovered in all the borders. So we needed to go past that area, but they wouldn't allow us. And they were starting to do all this kind of obscene, and you and me, and we got together and said, no, you want a bottle of, I'll give you a bottle of whiskey, or I'm not kissing you. So I said, okay, Paula, just turn off the lights, move Priscilla, and when I say go, you just go out of the road, and we camp, but we need to do this with no lights. How do you expect me to say, look, they're drunk, they won't see us, just do it. So we went, we left. And we needed to sleep in the car. It was awfully hot. So we turned off the lights. Said, Paula, okay, it's 10 p.m., we need to sleep. Sun comes up at 4 a.m., we better rest. Let's not make any more noise because we were maybe 5-6 kilometers from where these people were. It was so hot, I decided to take my legs off the window. So I was there lying. We couldn't move these because we had so much luggage. So I was sleeping like this, right? I had to take off my contact lenses. Paula was also wearing contact lenses. So I didn't see. I was tired. I was hot. I put this window down, put my feet outside. Justina. What's wrong, Paula? And I see her with the pepper spray, anti-rape in her hands, her glasses on, she had tied her shoe to the accelerator, and she had the keys on. What's wrong, Paula? Paula, here. I hear people coming. Paula, just fall asleep, there's nothing happening. But I've heard steps. So Paula, shut up and go to sleep. Cristina, aren't you afraid that someone might come and grab your leg? Well, if someone comes and grab my leg, I have nothing much to do. So, Paula, please shut up and go to sleep. I'm really tired. It's been a hard day. I've got another 16 hours tomorrow in the middle of nowhere. Justina, I hear steps. You go, coño, Paula, shut up. I'm fed up. Just fall asleep or I'm going to slap you. This is a mess. Just shut up. And by the way, what are you going to do with this anti-raper thing and the spray? Very simple, because if they come, I very quickly go like this with a spray, you know, and then what? You have another spray for the other window, you know, fantastic. So there's 3 people in the ground, and now what? And now we turn on Priscilla and we run. So, oh, fantastic speed, it doesn't go beyond 90 downhill, any other car. And what do? What we do is that we turn on the satellite telephone and we call the embassy. Fantastic. The satellite telephone, I haven't even seen it, and we haven't charged it since 2 weeks ago or a week and a half that we left Madrid. And then what? No, okay, so we charge it in the middle of a real rally with the police and the army. Okay, we charge the phone, fantastic, and then we call the embassy, Paula, and then what? And then the embassy sends the army to help us. Yeah, but these people that want to rape us, according to you, are the army. So it won't help. It won't help. And by the way, the embassy is 7,000 kilometers from where we are. So I think when we come to the worst of all, we've got lots of bottles of alcohol and we just play to, we get them drunk, and once they're drunk, we leave. No, Justina, we're not doing that. I won't let one of these men touch my elbow. I'm sure you've done things worse than that. We're not arguing. I'm hearing steps and I'm very worried. What do you suggest that we do? We need to remain quiet. Okay, so shut up and fall asleep. And I wake up like 4 a.m. and I hear steps.
She was sleeping already.
We slept for like for 6 or 7 hours. and I hear steps, and the sun is coming up. I said, well, maybe Paula, maybe she was right. A lot of steps, but like very slow. And the sun comes, I put my glasses on. When we got off the road, in the middle of the dark, we landed in a place which was full of camels.
Full of?
Camels.
Camels.
Camellos bactrianos. They're called camellos bactrianos.
Bacterianos.
Bactrianos. Is the name, bactrianos. Yeah, they stink. They stink. Because they're changing the skin at that time of the year. And those noises, the steps that Paula was hearing, were the poor camels going around the car because they wanted to find their space.
Yeah.
Both of us have taken, well, I had taken my glasses off, and she had covered the windows, and she had her glasses on, but she didn't see them. It was the camels. It was the camels. It was a fantastic story. Yeah, and then we went past the militars, and everything went fine. We stopped in Almaty to make some more donations there, and we needed to head up north to go to the border with Mongolia.
The donations were cash?
No, the cash had already been wired before we left Spain. No, so the 20,000 were wired directly. But we had donations for schools, we had books, we had clothes, had supplies for, there's a couple of women organizations that needed books and things to write on, and something very stupid, they needed pencils and, ¿cómo se dice? Bolígrafos. Pens and pencils, things like this, quite basic. So all this road through the south of Kazakhstan is bordering the Himalaya and China, and it takes you all up. You can't enter into China because you're not allowed to drive a car in China. No one is allowed to, it's forbidden by law. You're not allowed. You cannot rent a car in China either. So we were heading to the Altair Mountains. The Altair Mountains are the natural division at the moment because geopolitical was not at the time. But now that determines the border between Kazakhstan, China, Russia, and Mongolia. Okay? And Priscilla was getting in worship. So one day was one thing, another day was another thing, another day was a different thing. Then the back door was falling in bits. And okay, so I didn't know a lot of mechanics, but there were things that were bigger than what I could solve. So there was this very nice situation where Paula was driving. I think Priscilla is dying. So okay, let her die under a tree because it was very hot. Unfortunately, there was a petrol station. Petrol stations in Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan are attended by women, but women that never leave the building, and you can only see them through a tiny window, so that men don't see them and they don't get in touch with men. So we will hand them our phone, they will charge it, we open the car, and with the speaker, I will call the garage, say, something gone wrong, I'm looking at the engine, but I was not prepared for this. I was following the instructions, till the battery went off, exchanged, the other battery went on, like 6 or 7 hours repairing the car. So it looked like Priscilla was going to survive. So we get on the road again. On the road, we need to go quick, you see the sun coming down. Once the sun comes down, you're in hell. Yeah. Because people don't drive during the day in Kazakhstan because of the very, very high temperature. They drive during the night. And during the night, you've got cars, you've got donkeys, you've got trucks, you've got people eating at the border of the roads because they sit down to share with their families. And it's a mess. The chances of having an accident are very high. But very, very high, it's very risky. So all of a sudden, Priscilla starts. So, okay, Paula, what do I do? So get this and stop someone. I was preparing las cosas para que te remolquen. The tow and everything. So how do I do it? Just get in the middle of the road and someone will stop. And there was this truck, huge truck, and both of us like, so they towed us to a town nearby. The next day, they towed us to a different place in Kazakhstan. This was already in the Altai Mountains, almost 5,000 meters high. This happened at 3,000 more or less. And they couldn't repair it. But there was a nearby village where they had a Suzuki garage. So we went to the garage. And they decided they could repair everything, no problem, and we're going to help you. So, okay, by the way, I want another petrol pump, just in case. I want new tires, everything is going to be fine. So we decided to go to the best hotel in town, which was a shitty hotel, but in any case it was good enough for us, and had a small bottle of champagne because Cristina was recovering, everything was going fine. Great, we had a spa treatment. Come on, after so many days going past the desert and almost no shower, no one shower a day, no one shower every 2 a day, so it was nice. We were very happy. We did some tourism around this city, which is called Oskemen. Okay, and we go to the garage, we say bye-bye, we're leaving, we're going to Mongolia, only 100 kilometers from the Mongolian border. In 2 more days, we are 2.5, we're going to be in Ulaanbaatar. It never happened. We said bye-bye, party at the garage, more wine, taking pictures, our t-shirts, glamour, nomad princesses. We went around the corner and the car was completely in a mess, it was fucked up. We couldn't do anything else. So we go back to the hotel, crying. Oh, what can we do? And we're there depressed, totally depressed. It's okay. And then 2 spontaneous men come into the hotel. It's a very small town. We want to help the princesses. Fine? So, the princesses. So the manager of the hotel was Cuban. He spoke perfect Spanish. He had gone to Russia to study tourism like 30 years ago, more or less, when he was about 20. He married a Russian girl. They got divorced, and then all this reorganization and independence of the CCR republics, he stayed in Kazakhstan. And he was running this hotel in this part of the world. And he was being very nice to us, and at the beginning he was very concerned because he believed we didn't have money to pay for the hotel. And we said, yes, don't worry, we pay in advance so that you relax. Okay? So these 2 spontaneous men come in, and we have dinner with them. And they were talking about the options of being able to go to Mongolia. They explained that we couldn't buy a car, because if you're a non-resident, you're not allowed to buy anything. You can't have any property. They were offering us to give us a chauffeur to drive us to Mongolia, and they could take care of the donation in Kazakhstan. I said, okay, what I really want is something a lot more simple. I just need to change the engine. I just need it to be the same size. Okay? So they went off. So we have found an engine for you, but instead of 1.1 centimeter cubes, it's 1.3. It fits, but now you need to change the clutch. Oh my God. Yeah, because it needs to fit everything. So we were trying to do anything possible. These people were trying to help. So they come again the next night to have dinner with Paula and me in Kazakhstan, in that hotel. And the manager gets quite nervous. Just ladies, I need to talk to you. Excuse me? Do you know who these people are? No. They know somebody that knows somebody where we were repairing the garage, and they're just trying to help. Well, ladies, I don't want these men here for much longer. Why? They are the local representatives of the Russian mafia. So, Paula? So, well, actually, they're being quite kind. They're not asking anything from us. They're not asking for money. They're not asking for sex. They don't want to touch us. They just want to help. And the manager says, you are going to be kidnapped. You're aware of this.
What?
They're going to kidnap you. Yeah. These are the Russian mafia, took ladies from Spain, doing stupid things in the middle of nowhere. They're going to kidnap you and ask money to your families. So Paula was like, ah. So, don't worry, we'll manage, we'll manage. So actually, one of these guys says, you need to realize that right now you have a big problem. Because what does your visa say? We had a double entrance and exit of Kazakhstan country, but we had been 7 days in Kazakhstan all along, and we only had permission to be there for 2. But because Priscilla started to break down into pieces, we never managed to get out of Kazakhstan earlier. That's why it took us long. But we completely forgot about all this bureaucracy. It was ridiculous. And then after we had been at the hotel, it's already 10 days, then we're in Kazakhstan. I said, okay, what do we do? Well, you need to go to the border. You need to take Priscilla out of the country, and then we will help you to go back to Spain. So Priscilla wouldn't move. You can't tow her away. The thing is that your passport, our passport, was saying that we had a car. Now, luckily for me, the real owner of the car was Paula, not me. The car wasn't her name. So we had a problem. We could not leave Kazakhstan legally at all. So we got some fake documentation from the Russian mafia regarding the documentation of the vehicle, not from ours. Okay, so that we could do a donation on site. Okay, they were very concerned in any case that when we took the flight back to Spain, we didn't stop in Russia at all because we could have problems. The biggest airport in the area is the airport in Moscow. All the rest are smaller and the control is much less. But Moscow, you would really need to go through the police and the army and everything, going to be in trouble. So they put us in this ridiculous plane. This company is not allowed to fly in Europe anymore, okay, from Astana Airlines. And we went from this city in the mountains to Almaty. And in Almaty, the consul of Spain was waiting for us. He was very worried because he was sure that Paula was going to be arrested as the owner of the car. And he was very worried as to what was I going to do. Well, if Paula gets arrested, I stay with her, no? I mean, we've been together for all of this adventure. And finally nothing happened because this Russian mafia people had done what had needed to be done so that we didn't have any problem. They gave us as a gift the book The Last of the Mohicans or something like that, and among the books. I wanted to bring it here, but it's such in bad shape. I was concerned I wouldn't survive this meeting. And we finally were able to leave Mongolia. We did have a lot of encounters which were difficult for women, not so much for men. Women with men and the borders and all that is quite complex. But when you were asking about the moral of the Mongol rally, really, in my opinion, is resilience.
Resilience?
Resilience.
Would you do it again?
Yes, totally.
Really?
Yeah. I would
And
do it again.
why this mafioso sent you? What was the motivation?
What was the motivation to do it?
No, the Russian mafia, why?
We don't know. We don't know.
They were simply
They were helping.
for humanity.
They were helping, yes, honestly. And one of them, the son.
So even the mafia is human.
Yeah.
That's the moral of the story.
Yeah.
The mafia is human.
They were just helping, and they had our address in Spain and our emails and everything. And sometimes they write, how are the nomad princesses doing? Is everything fine? And they did it for nothing. But they solved the situation with the car. They solved the plane. Because we had a plane from Ulaanbaatar to Madrid. And we needed to change that plane from Ulaanbaatar to Madrid to from where we were, which the airport was like this, to Madrid. They solved all of that. They wanted to pay for the hotel and we said no because we already paid this in advance, thank you. They did everything and then they sent us some pictures of the family that had finally received the car. They repaired the car and they gave it to this family. Yeah?
Nice. So the moral people are good.
Yeah, maybe we need to be mafia too.
I think you are.
Me? Well, maybe. But don't tell them. No, there's.
Did you consider to write a book or to make a movie?
No. I've never thought about it.
What is more important, the journey or to reach the destination?
We never reached the destination.
Do you feel frustrated?
Not at all. Not at all. No.
I have to tell you a story about a mountain climber by the name of Alison Levine. Alison Levine, she is mountain climber from Seattle, and she climbed the highest mountain in every continent. But the dream was to climb the Everest. So she prepared and she collected money because to climb the Everest cost about $60,000. And then she went and was four months on the Everest because you have to acclimate your lungs. So you go up and down, every time you go up higher. And then came the day when she decided that this is the day she's going to climb the Everest. And she walked to the peak from the top camp. And about 200 yards from the peak, the weather changed and a fog came, and she had to make a decision whether to continue to go, but it's very narrow trail and she may be dead, or she turned around and go down. She decided to turn around and went down back to the camp. And for 9 years she thought about how she missed the peak, but she always said the journey was more important than the destination. But the thing kept bugging her. After 9 years, she collected again the money. Now she was 9 years older. She went to Nepal. She climbed the Everest again. And the same story, after she was 4 months on the mountain, she climbed 200 feet from the top. There was a fog, and she had to decide whether this time she go to the peak and never risk that she will lose the way, and or to turn around and to go back to the camp. This is the story about Alison Levin.
Wow. So she turned around and went
No. She continued on that.
Yeah. I mean, there's that famous book, Into Thin Air.
Yeah.
If you want to do what she's done, you have to buy her book and to read it, because I'm not going to tell you.
Well, she wrote a book.
She wrote a book. She wrote a book, but I asked her one thing. I told her, Alison Levin is a Jewish name. She said, yes, this is true. I asked her what your mother told you when you told your mother you are going to climb the Everest. So she said, my mother told me not to forget to take a coat. So
no, I did Paula and me.
What your mother said when you told her that you are going to...
I want to tell you what my mother told, not me, but my boss. I think, did I tell you this before? I told you only, okay. So many people from Telefonica came to the Bernabeu Stadium to say bye-bye to my friends and me. And my boss was there. And he was talking, he was very worried, he was very concerned. My boss was hysterical. He was going like, Marta is my mom. Don't worry, Cristina will be back. Thank you, Carlos, thank you. My mom is like, very posh and very perfect. Carlos will go away. But Marta, we will help Justina. If something happens, our CEO is ready to start something and bring her back from wherever she is. Thank you, Carlos. You're so kind. Thank you. But Marta, you don't seem to be very worried. Look, Carlos, there's something you need to know. This is not the worst thing. My daughter has started her life. That's what my mom said. After all, it's just about driving a car. It's not flying, it's not rock climbing, it's not going to dangerous places. There is a possibility that they have problems in the controls, in the roads. The worst thing that can happen is a car accident. But the car doesn't go very fast. You can only fall off somewhere, the chances much higher. No, my mom was quite optimistic about it. And my granny is now 91, and she was 10 years younger at the time, well, 7. And she was saying, if I was 50 years younger, I would be coming with you. That's in my family's DNA.
You have a crazy family.
I've got a family that has suffered a lot. So they accept any fate as they come. That's it.
When we're crossing Kazakhstan...
How did you like the story?
Great.
Very interesting.
Do you have questions? You can take them.
when we're crossing in this triangle, crossing Kazakhstan to Kyrgyzstan, or from Kyrgyzstan to Kazakhstan, I was amazed at the technology sophistication at the border. These guys had IBM laptops with sat links. They would take a digital picture, send it to get clearance to allow you to go through the border. This was 2005, and in the middle of nowhere. But you know, the driver said, no pictures. Do not even pull out the camera.
What's the rationale for them? They don't want people to have the image of
of themselves, of the police and the army. You can't take pictures of, not even in Spain, you cannot take a picture of a policeman.
But even the religion doesn't allow it.
I'm not sure about the religion. No, because we were taking pictures of a lot of people that were sitting with us in a picture.
Normally they say that human is made out of the image of God, and you cannot try to either draw or take a picture of something that is made out of God. You cannot try to take, that's what they say.
I've heard that story before, but all these countries we went through were Muslim countries, and we never had a problem with pictures.
They actually like.
They like it now. Estamos en